The X-Men's Mutant Massacre event marked some of the darkest storytelling in the entirety of Chris Claremont's X-Men run. This was a turning point for the series where the Marauders, a group of cold-hearted, genetically enhanced mutant killers, launched a surprise attack on the Morlocks, a mostly non-combative group of mutants living in the sewer system underneath New York, and many mutants were injured and many more were killed, leaving the X-Men in the crosshairs of this brutal conflict, trying to both avenge the fallen and stop the ongoing attack. Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and welcome to a brand new analysis series focused on following character trajectory through the inaugural X-Men event, Mutant Massacre. Today we're taking a look at Elizabeth Braddock AKA Psylocke. Now, at the start of this story, Psylocke is not currently an X-Men, but she has been staying at the X Mansion with the team ever since the events of New Mutants Annual Number 2, which was her introduction to the world of X-Men, where she was kidnapped by Mojo, her eyes were replaced with cybernetic ones, and little Douglas Ramsey saved the day. That's important context because it essentially sets up Psylocke's entire Mutant Massacre arc. She's new to being around the X-Men, she's a powerful telepath, yes, but she still has to prove herself among the powerhouse team because she is mostly untested and lacking any actual battle experience. And the brutal attack on the Morlocks and mutant kind at large in this book positions Psylocke to step up in a way she never has before and prove that she's more than just a privileged, elegant English lady. In this story, Psylocke slowly enters the massacre. At first, she experiences the slaughter secondhand to varying degrees, through the thoughts of injured and dying mutants being brought back to the mansion, then while telepathically checking in for status updates from, for example, Wolverine, who was currently sent on a solo mission by Storm in the Morlock tunnels, where Wolverine just shuts down Psylocke offering up any of her perspective really, citing that she's still a stranger and not an X-Man and has no concept of the war they're fighting. But while Psylocke may not go down in the sewer tunnels, she will get a pretty serious introduction to the war coming up shortly. But before that, it's also worth noting another way Psylocke secondhand experiences the massacre, and that is when, after a tough conflict with the Marauders in the Morlock tunnels, many of the X-Men come back to the mansion, near critically injured, and among that injured group is Colossus, who collapses onto Psylocke and, being a huge metal man and crashing down on top of a normal human woman, it breaks Psylocke's rib. And that is her first time experiencing the war physically coming crashing down on her. It's like a domino effect of the battle in the tunnel that the X-Men got into. And while she's been trying to prove herself and help the X-Men in any way she knows how to, like through telepathic communication, like with helping with the injured, or even trying to offer up her perspective again, and usually failing at that, but we can now examine the issue where she's finally given that true chance to prove herself. And this occurs after, as I mentioned, once again Psylocke's suggestion is shut down as she wanted to scan the entire country to try and find the new mutants who were currently missing, and also see if she can find the Marauders, a group that attacked the Morlocks. And Psylocke is growing increasingly frustrated because she's been forced to stay at the mansion while the rest of the X-Men are basically in the tunnels, in the thick of it, helping out how they can, and she wants to contribute to that as well. Just at this moment though, Psylocke is able to identify the presence of a stranger entering the school grounds, and in using her psychic probing powers amplified by Cerebro, she ends up getting jolted by some psychic feedback because the entity's thoughts are so negative and so hostile. And just as she's trying to warn the X-Men about this intruder, Sabretooth comes bursting through the floor, ready for a fatal fight and throwing Psylocke into the jaws of danger. He slashes at her arm, her rib is already broken, and she's only able to get a bit of a head start away from him because she hits him with a Psycho Blast, which is a focused beam of telepathic energy that knocks Sabretooth back, but ever resilient in the hunt, as she flees, he chases her, going so far as to have the boldness to taunt Sabretooth while doing this. And we quickly learn that Psylocke's real intention here is to lead Sabretooth away from the injured and wounded at the mansion, as well as Moira and the other human help that is there, since they would be completely destroyed and ripped to shreds by Sabretooth if he found either of those groups. And Psylocke's transition to active combatant in this war continues as she leads Sabretooth to the weight room, and even in her injured state, she tosses this dumbbell at Sabretooth, and he even comments on her strength, but also comments that it's not gonna be good enough for this fight. And there's a bit of a mental battle going on here too, because obviously Sabretooth has the combat and strength on Psylocke. He's trying to intimidate her through violence, this terrifying force in this battle that just wants to hear her scream, just has this unrelenting bloodlust, and a predator that takes joy in ripping apart and hunting its prey. And if you're wondering why she doesn't just continue to hit him with psychic blasts, that is because, as we learn, when she falls through the skylight into Storm's attic, she mentions that his psychic defenses are too strong and they're deflecting her psybolts. But just as Sabretooth finally gets a hold on her after her defiant stand against him, Wolverine and Storm show up, backup is finally here, and Storm is able to knock Psylocke out of Sabretooth's grip, thus allowing Wolverine to engage with Sabretooth and ramp up this fight to a new Berserker Rage level. And while Wolverine and Sabretooth continue to fight, Magneto has also arrived on the scene and is getting ready to shackle and imprison Sabretooth. But Psylocke offers up another suggestion here, a different idea. Noting that Sabretooth's mind defenses were very strong, she doesn't think they'll be able to interrogate or get anything out of him when he is fully focused on just concentrating his mind and not letting anyone in, as he would be as a prisoner. But right now, as he's fighting Wolverine, and she doesn't have to worry about fighting herself, she can now probe into his mind psychically and extrapolate any information they can on the Marauders, who their master is, and why they're doing what they're doing. And in this really dynamic sequence of pages, that is exactly what Psylocke does. She focuses her energy, she calms herself, and she peers into their minds, which are entangled in this fight, and she starts sifting through them, pulling out everything she needs from Sabretooth while Wolverine continues to match him blow for blow. And she goes deeper and deeper searching for this information until finally she finds everything that she needs, and collaboratively working with the team, she lets Wolverine know, she gives him the signal. Wolverine doesn't need to stall anymore, they already won, they got what they needed, and he can disengage from Sabretooth now. Sabretooth, however, is able to flee in this instance as their battle takes them off a cliff, diving into the water and being submerged, and in that moment Sabretooth is able to flee. But this is still a pretty big battle won of this ongoing war, and the team definitely recognizes Psylocke's efforts in that, even saying that if she wasn't there and she didn't defend the mansion like she did, then there would have been a second massacre right there. Even Wolverine, who was cold on Psylocke before, stating that he doesn't know anything about her, her fighting style, her character, now has warmed up to her and proposes that she is an X-Men, a notion that is agreed to by the rest of the team as well, and this is where Psylocke officially is welcomed and becomes a member of Team X-Men. And while this is the end of the direct Mutant Massacre event in the Uncanny X-Men comics, as they continue to deal with the residual Marauders like Malice for example, Psylocke's position on the team is much more respected, and her advisement in certain scenarios is also equally more respected. For example, she is the one that really even clocks that Malice is a psychic entity that is able to possess others and destroy them from within. And without that information, the others definitely probably would have been left confused as to why Dazzler was attacking them during the period where she was possessed by Malice. But wrapping this all back together, Psylocke's arc in Mutant Massacre is important because she starts as this outsider looking in, observing a war but not participating in it, but then the war comes to her and she's forced to finally prove herself, an opportunity that she had been longing for because she knew in her heart of hearts there's more to her than meets the eye. She can help, she can make a difference, and she can be an important member of the team. This main fight with Sabretooth is her trial by fire that cements her as a core and true member of the X-Men. Not just a refined telepath with no battlefield experience, no. Now, she is a warrior, whether she likes it or not. And really, if you can hold your own against Sabretooth, one of the most ferocious and physically imposing mutants, and you can do that with just your tactics, agility, and light telepathy, ability, well then you can probably hold your own in any of the battles that the X-Men might face together. Okay everybody, thank you so much for checking out this video, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have read Mutant Massacre, I would love to hear what you think about the story at large, and specifically Psylocke's character arc during the story. With that, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and lets me do more of these videos. And with that, you all have a great rest of your day.